You're listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment.
Get ready, New Orleans. It's time for the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, telling you everything you need to know about the Saints, Pelicans, and a whole lot more.
Welcome. You are now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. And we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports family. Once again, I'm Big Q, and via Skype we have fan favorite DC. How you doing, my friend?
I'm hurt.
Hey, man, we all are. This podcast 118 of the Sports Coma, and of course, as you know, we're gonna be covering Thursday night's loss. The Saints lost to the dreaded, hated Atlanta Falcons.
I thought we won that game.
No, no, we did not. 20-17 was the loss. The Saints lose 20-17 to Falcons. In this matchup, we'll be covering what went wrong. We'll break down what went wrong indeed in this
It'd be
game.
easier to just say what went right.
Well, we're going to talk about what went wrong first because there was a lot of wrongs in this game, obviously. Then we're going to move to the next topic, which would be who's to blame. And of course, we're going to have a couple of names to throw at you to see who's to blame for this loss. The Saints should have obviously won. Similar to the Los Angeles Rams game, another game the Saints should have won. Done enough, should have won the game. We'll have our studs and duds segment, and I'm pretty sure we have plenty of duds this time around. Stats, facts, and breakdown on the Atlanta game, and interviews, of course, from Sean Payton and Drew Brees. We'll give you the latest injury report, breaking down of all those injuries from Vaccaro, Armstead. All those guys were hurt in the game. Trey Hendrickson, Elvin Kamara, and the list goes on and on. DC will brief us on the latest injury list. And, of course, later on, we'll preview the New York Jets matchup. The Saints play the Jets in the Superdome next Sunday. We'll preview, break down, and give you stats and predictions on that Jet game as well toward the end of the podcast. The 1 hour podcast, once again, thank you for joining us. And this podcast is brought to you by theposhlifestyle.com. The Posh Life, spelled with a Y, LYFE style.com is our sponsor. And their logo is get your mind and body right with the Posh Lifestyle. Go there, take a visit with them. They're the sellers of great products at great prices. And you can get a 10% discount on your purchase, discount off on your purchase by putting in the Sports Coma. When you put your coupon in during checkout, you get 10% off. And I'm pretty sure you can use one of the great many supplements they have, organic toothpaste, shampoos, music, all kind of stuff. Just check them out, www.theposhlifestyle.com. Now, going into the game, DC, I was quite amazed, to say the least, in this game. Atlanta was able to put up 10 points on the Saints in the fourth quarter to ultimately win this game. The defense played very well, significant injuries all throughout the game. The Saints only had one turnover in the game, which was that back-breaking interception that Drew Brees threw to Deion Jones, because I don't see anybody who was throwing it to, threw the ball right to Deion Jones. And then 3 interceptions by Matt Ryan. The Saints forced 3 interceptions from out of Matt Ryan. 343 total yards on the night for the Falcons, 306 for the Saints. Kamara went down earlier, and the Saints struggled to kind of move forward for the rest of the game. What went wrong in this affair from your account?
Well, what I can say is what went wrong would have to be Thursday, after playing a damn afternoon game Sunday, and already being banged up for one. Number two, you can't gloss over the fact that we had a former Falcons player that was on the officiating crew that wasn't originally on the docket, and he didn't get posted on the docket of being on the officiating crew until I think today or yesterday maybe.
Well, we're gonna cover that later on in the Saints news.
That definitely went wrong. Well, you asked me what went wrong. I didn't know I had limitations.
Go ahead, proceed. Go ahead.
And I would say Drew Brees for about 20 seconds went terribly wrong. So Carl's injuries and I think poor coaching and quarterback play the last 20 seconds of the game.
Real amazing stats on Drew Brees. He was 26 of 35, 271 yards, had 2 touchdowns. The only thing really killed him was that interception late in the end zone when they had better options. Saints' rushing game wasn't nearly as functioning or even remotely effective. They had 15 carries for 50 yards. And, of course, we know when Elvin Kamara got hurt, he had 1 carry for 2 yards. He got hurt early in the game. They gave Mark Ingram 12 carries for 49 yards. He averaged about 4 yards a carry. He had a 14-yard long.
That's not bad. Man.
That is not bad. They didn't do enough of it. Sean Payton didn't keep hitting them with the rush as he was supposed to. I would have loved to see them keep pounding them with the run and then maybe mix in a little Trey Edmonds. I know Edmonds was sitting there waiting for his opportunity. It never came. But looking at the rest of it, Dylan, hold on, DC, let me give you the stats with Atlanta, then you can comment on it behind it. Because Matt Ryan didn't play a fantastic game. 15 of 27, 221 yards, 3 interceptions, he had 1 touchdown. Devontae Harris, of course, was a guy that me and you talked about in the pregame, the pregame report we had for the Atlanta game in the former Sports Coma podcast, where we spoke about keeping Freeman in check, which they did. He had 24 carries for 91 yards. He had 1 touchdown, averaging almost 4 yards a carry. So he was effective enough for them to keep it going. Altogether, the team rushed 37 times for 132 yards versus the Saints 15 times for 50 yards. They also had a score with theirs. Now go ahead and comment on what was you going to comment on.
Well, basically what I was going to say is talking about a few of the points that you brought up. Drew Brees, he didn't play that bad, and he did have other options that he didn't see for whatever reason, man. And I found that very astounding. Like, Mark Ingram, wide open in the backfield. Yeah, Willie Snead, who did have a man on him, but he had separation on him. If you want to try to force the ball, put it there. And Michael Thomas was playing good all game. So I found that very perplexing. And a lot of the calls that Sean Payton made in the running game, because you talked on Mark Ingram, and that's when I tried to, I guess, cut you off, was he had 12 rushes for 49 yards, but we got to remember, Mark Ingram was banged up. He was hurt. He had a toe injury. And I remember at one point in the game, they kind of had a cheap shot on him in the back, which could have been a call. You're not supposed to do that. And they didn't call anything. So I think the way the game was going, he didn't want to risk, I guess, injuring him too. So he tried to, I guess, reduce his carries. And Trey Edmonds, what meaningful game has he ever played in?
Do you really want to? He has never played in any meaningful games, but you got to trust him if that's your last back that you have on the roster.
I don't think this is the game, man. And you got to remember, he's the last back by default. They wanted Daniel Lasco to be that guy. And he wound up getting a very nasty injury. I think it was a spinal cord injury.
Yes, back injury.
Yeah. So that was supposed to be the guy. I think if Daniel Lasco was there, we probably would have saw him get some touches, and we could have kept the running game going. So in Sean Payton's defense, and you know I don't never defend him on not running the ball, this one game, watching how it went, because I can't make any sense out of it other than that. So, I mean, it makes sense to me for him to not run the ball with Mark Ingram being injured and having lost Alvin Kamara already.
Very true. You had both your top backs.
And having lost people on the line as well, because it's a lot more physical when you run versus pass.
C.O. Calamente went down with a concussion. They had to put in Josh Laribas, the third guard. Yeah, that's to be noted. The reality situation is that Trey Edmonds is a special teams guy. He is of course the third back. They traded Adrian Peterson early in the year. Daniel Lasco was a guy that has a bad spinal injury a few games back. Saints had an opportunity to bring more of experience running back in. They chose to keep Trey Edmonds for whatever reason. Sooner or later, if you don't have any of your backs healthy, you're going to have to use Edmonds to help in the affair. Remember, he had the long run late in the game to get a touchdown. Sooner or later, a guy has got to get an opportunity to play. Going to the catching side of things, Michael Thomas was excellent in this game.
Wait, I'd like to see Ted Ginn get a few rushes, though.
No, right, that's thing. But Michael Thomas, 10 catches, 117 yards, a touchdown, averaged by 11.7 on the catches on the night. Ingram had 4 catches for 43 yards. I mean, it was a huge day. Michael Thomas was targeted 14 times. He got 10 of those. So Drew Brees was kind of just trying to lean on his top target there. Let's go into our studs and duds segment before we go into the interview on Sean Payton. He got a lot to say, and I want to get to him. But let's go into the studs and duds segment. Give me your stud and dud for this Atlanta affair. Who do you have?
I'm cheating. My stud is a unit. My stud is the defense. I think for the game that we played in, the type of pressure and atmosphere it was, and for the way it started out, they kind of moved the ball, but the defense consistently stepped up. And they forced 3 turnovers. And in my opinion, I know Atlanta got yards, but they kind of shut Matt Ryan down. Julio Jones did his thing. He did okay. Kept him out of the end zone, which I think is probably one of the best things you could hope for. But I know he don't score a lot of touchdowns usually. But I think we did a good job on them when it mattered. That was the thing. Those third downs and big possessions, for the most part, we stopped them. And, I mean, it got to a point where, they were tired and they did give up those 10 points in the fourth quarter. They were tired. We weren't running the ball. We're passing the ball all over. I mean, the guys are already decimated. So
okay.
With the circumstances, I think they did amazing. And my dud would be, you're not going to believe this, the officiating crew.
That would be
I'm going with units, baby. I ain't naming no players. That's my dud for this week. The officials. We had 11 penalties for 87 yards, and I don't believe in coincidences, but I think it's very ironic that 9 of those penalties were all for Atlanta first downs. This just seems a little ironic to me. The Saints aren't a team that doesn't get penalties at all, but we're far from being the most undisciplined team in the league. We're not the Cincinnati Bengals. 11 penalties for 87 yards, it would raise an eyebrow even if I didn't watch the game.
I have to admit that that's a good dud because the officials really played a pivotal part in this game and why the Saints Atlanta was able to mire around. But when you have 3 turnovers by the quarterback, 3 interceptions by Matt Ryan in this game, that usually would mean you will win by at least 7, maybe 10 points. 3 interceptions. The officials were horrible. I mean, let's just get that clear. They were horrible. But, and I say but, the Saints had a clear-cut opportunity to win this game with the officials' calls withstanding. Not being as effective as they needed to be rushing the ball, making better decisions when it came down with play calling, could have ultimately set this game on a different path. Now they're forced to look at coming to the Superdome and playing the Jets live. They gave them life in that game, and to me that's horrible. But we're about to go into our first commercial break. When we come back on the other side, we'll have interviews from Sean Payton. He's heated about the game, talking crap about the officials, much like DC. We'll also talk about We'll also give some more stats, facts, and breakdowns and other things, so stay listening. You're listening to the Sports Coma, Big Q and the guys. We'll be back. What's up, sports world? This Big Q from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Talking to you about the website, theposhlifestyle.com. That's right, poshlifestyle.com. A great website where you can get great products at great prices. They sell organic herbs, vitamins, supplements, water filters for your home, EMF and cell phone radiation protection, healing magnetics and healing crystals, personal protection devices like cell phones, stun guns, and mace spray, organic deodorants, shampoos, soaps, toothpaste, and more. They also sell 10A grade Brazilian hair. 10A music is available now. All kind of the latest downloadable mixtapes. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to theposhlifestyle.com. That's the Posh Lifestyle, life spelled with a Y, LYFD style.com. Put in the Sports Coma for the 10% discount on your purchase. It's a win-win. So get your mind and body right with the Posh Lifestyle.
Get all the latest news and updates from your New Orleans Pelicans at the Pelicans Eye View, the new and official Pelicans Daily Journal, covering everything Pelicans.
Attention, everyone.
Get breakdown on games, free agent signings and potential moves, unbiased opinions and straight up facts with statistical analysis from G Balance. Go to www.thesportsdaily.com/Pelicans-I-View.
Wow, what a huge honor it is to be named NBA 2K18 Legend Edition cover athlete. I really wouldn't be here without the guidance, love, and support of my mom and dad. Also, I'd like to thank my coaches, both college and professional. But most of all, I'd like to thank Kobe Bryant. He was the NBA 2K Legend cover athlete first. He's so awesome and handsome and has really nice natural teeth. Wait, what? I'll be looking at his teeth. This ain't over, Kobe. Payback's gonna be fun.
Let me tell you about a news site that carries the news that you would want to know. News that's not the same as the rest of lamestream media, but a site that lets you know about the most important news on health, economics, tech, entertainment, science, food, sports, world news, positive living, paradigm shift, and a lot more. Go to theposhreportonline.co. That's right, theposhreportonline.co. Learn more. And remember, challenge everything.
Follow the Sports Coma on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, and we recapping the Saints and Falcons game. And I know if you're a Saints fan, that game turned your stomach. I don't even much want to look at the highlights, to be honest with you. You usually I like to look at the highlights, like look how they cut up. But this game here was obviously one of those games that the re-officiating was just blatantly. We know about home cooking. We know about home cooking. We know usually when we play in somebody else's building, there's a such thing called home cooking, where the referees tend to favor the home team in most cases. This was obviously crazy. DC had a great stat about the whole situation. That said that the Saints, of course, had 11 penalties for 87 yards called against them in this game, and 9 of them, like DC elegantly put, was for first downs that ultimately kept a dead Atlanta team alive and enough time for them to make some noise happen. Now, I do have some stats and facts I want to give, but I'm not going to give those stats and facts about Drew Brees appearing in this 187th game and moving in sole position to 4th place with Stan Brock and all this nonsense in the loss, because to me, it completely is an absolute bullcrap game to me that the Saints had an opportunity to win this game. Drew Brees, experienced as he is, went down there and threw an interception in the end zone and deaded the drive. Now, DC, go ahead and comment, and then we're going to go into what Sean Payton got to say.
Well, I want to comment on the penalties, because I don't think enough can be said about it. And when you look at it, it's like There's 11 penalties, but usually when a team gets 11 penalties, you could get into the hundreds. With the yards, 110, 120, you getting into that range. But the thing I think that's missing that you can't see just looking at that is the fact that when the penalties happened, it was 9 of those penalties that were at key moments. You have a defense getting them off the field, and they call a penalty. It was almost like every time the Saints either made a play or got something going on the defense or offensive side early in the game, it was a penalty being thrown.
And you're absolutely right. And that also, what I got to back up the fact that they did call a penalty on the Saints that took a field goal off the board, which ultimately
I've never seen anything like that.
Which would have been allowed to if that would have allowed to been stand, and the game would have went into overtime, 20-20. So the officials did call the penalty, which took a field goal off the game for New Orleans, and that ultimately is what they lost by 20-17. Here's Sean Payton's his comments on the officiating.
Real quick, I'll be brief. Obviously, it's a disappointing loss. I was proud of our guys tonight. Thought we fought hard. Thought we fought a lot of things outside of just the football game, but I was real proud. Anyway, credit Atlanta. They came back, showed some heart, got a big win. It was disappointing for us. They felt like the player wasn't far enough up on the line. Usually you get a warning with that, especially when you have a backup in, but hey, I thought we fought real hard. I thought we played outstanding on defense. Struggle offensively, find a rhythm. A lot of different guys go down. I'd say 8 or 9 players got hurt tonight, give or take. So that became challenging. I thought the defense fought hard.
How difficult would you say it is from a play calling standpoint once you start missing so many pieces mid-game?
Well, you got backup personnel groups, but that's a challenge when you have guys go down.
All things considered, Coach, how do you think Marshall Lattimore handled Julio Jones?
Yeah, we'll see the tape. Like I said, I thought defensively we played well. We had a lot of other challenges, but I thought we competed.
We saw Sean oxygen a couple times.
That's pretty normal. I'll bet that happens quite a bit, really. When it's pretty dry and on a short week. Listen, we still got we still have a ton of football left, so we're playing for that opportunity, just like Atlanta, just like everyone else.
Amen.
It's one of those games. Listen, I've never seen anything like it. I've never been a part of a game like that, and frustrating, but our guys will bounce back. Real quick, I'll be brief. Obviously,
that's Coach Sean Payton, man. And if you heard what Coach Payton said, he basically said that he's never been a part of a game like that. Never. And that's really interesting. He said the defense played really well. Offense struggled a bit, but he'd never been a part of a game like and that's a lot of contests that Sean Payton was saying. So, DC, what's your thinking on Coach Sean Payton's interview? And then we'll get to one of the stories dealing with to back him up on this officiating thing.
Sean Payton, after the game, Sean Payton went and got him one of them, you see the bands, and they got the big old bass drum. They walk with the thing in front of them, big old bass drum. Sean Payton been beating that drum all week, man. He ain't never backed off what he said about the officials. He was telling the truth. It was a very weird game. Not just because they had a lot of penalties, but it was amazing. Like, at the times they were calling them. Like, Lattimore almost ran back for a touchdown, and you get set up for a field goal with 12 seconds left or 10 seconds left in the end of the first half, and they called that ticky-tack penalty, something that you could have, overlooked. They were correct. The man wasn't as far up on the line, but you heard Sean Payton say, yeah, you usually get
a warning for that. A
warning for that. It's not something that's severe. Like, you didn't have some unfair advantage because of that. It was crazy. I've never seen a game like that. in my opinion, because it's just every time you had a momentum swing, it just seemed like they had a penalty, man. And I like the fact that he said he was proud of the team, because I went away from that kind of it was mixed because I was upset with Drew Brees, but I was proud of the team, man. I thought everybody showed up to play, and all the injuries and adversity that we had. Yeah. People were cheating. You had a helmet-to-helmet on Alvin Kamara. They don't call it. Desmond Trufant pokes Michael Thomas in the eye.
No call.
Purpose. No call. You know what I'm saying? Mark Ingram gets speared in the back.
No call.
You could have called what do they call it when you hit a defenseless receiver with Ted Ginn? He's catching the ball kind of in there and got hit. That one's maybe a little subjective, but I've seen plays like that before where I got called and I thought it was clean. So nothing went our way, even when we weren't getting in our own way. They still found a way to cheat and just overlook anything to benefit us and call every little tit for tat thing.
It wasn't, because you're absolutely right, DC. That was brilliant and well said. Let me add this to the point to reinforce it. 11 penalties called against New Orleans for 87 yards versus 4 penalties called on Atlanta for 35 yards. Now, I preface that to say this. I witnessed at least a half a dozen times, well, it was more than that, but obvious holding calls, all the obvious holding calls against Atlanta on Cam Jordan exclusively.
Every play.
Like one time that a guy basically had him around his neck. One guy had a hold of his neck collar, where the shoulder pads right below the neck areas will have that gripped, and then his arm extended where the referee seen that he was held to stop from making a sack on Matt Ryan before he made a completion upfield or a throw upfield that they called a penalty on. It wouldn't have been a penalty if the referee would have made the proper call, which she seen the hold. Now, I seen the play. I know the referee seen it. He was standing right there. They obviously called the game for Atlanta. You can't say,
Shout
okay, we had.
Cam. He took it like
he
a pro
did.
too.
He always does. I got to give Cam that, and I need, and that's why when we do the Pelican post game report, I always see Cam sitting in the watching when he's home in watching the Pelicans game during the season, sitting in the front row, front 2 rows watching the Pelicans game. You need to go over there and tell DeMarcus Cousins to stop whining, because nobody gets home more than Cam Jordan and don't get calls.
This is Saints stuff.
All right, well, I'll tell you what. Let's get some more Saints talk. You're right, my friend. Let's go into an article that we're going to talk about here. Saints, and this is from ESPN's staff writer, Mike Triplett. He wrote this really good article. Saints coach Sean Payton calls NFL hire of former whistleblower unbelievable. Of course, this guy used to work for the Saints. It was caught up in the Bountygate scandal that occurred with the Saints those many years ago, which ended up getting Sean Payton suspended for a year. Many pieces of the team and administrative and coaching levels were suspended in a game that ultimately really cost the Saints that next year. Really hurt the team. And later on, it was thrown out by it was appealed and thrown out by the former commissioner, Paul Tagliabue, threw it out of there. But this begs the question. If you read this article, it's a pretty good article about this guy named Cirillo, and we all know who Cirillo is, and how he has a vendetta against the Saints for not retaining him back after the 2009 Super Bowl season. And we're about to go into our next commercial break. When we come back on the other side, we're going to cover more about this article. We're going to give you our insights on it because, like DC said about the official dealing that's tied to Atlanta, a lot of mischievous things going on in this game that happened. Why it just looks like, do the NFL have a vendetta against the New Orleans Saints? That's the question that we're going to put forth. And we're going to get more into it on the other side of the break. But we also bringing the injury. Yeah, I know. But we're going to talk about that more in depth. We're going to come back, talk about the injury report. And then we're going to give some more information, play another interview from Drew Brees, see what he thinks about the Saints' loss to the Atlanta Falcons. And also the preview of the Jets and the Saints is coming up in the next segment of the segment after that. And we have to be mindful of this as well, because the Jets, this is the perfect trap game, because we upset about Atlanta Do the team look past the Jets looking at Atlanta in that matchup against Atlanta? We're going to cover that and talk about that on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Stay with us.
Forget ESPN or Fox. Get straight sports talk from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
In today's world, children are bombarded with negativity on television, online, and at school. Our kids need to have a positive outlook on life and the world around them. I want to share with you a valuable resource you can use to bring positivity into your child's life. It's the new book, 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad, G.J. Barabino. This is a simple guide loaded with wonderful and inspirational affirmations designed to uplift young people's spirits. This positive and powerful children affirmational is chock full and loaded with wonderful inspirational sayings that will lift your child's self-image to whole new levels through the awesome power of spoken word. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad G.J. Barabino. Available on Amazon. Order a copy for yourself, your child's teachers, or anyone you know with children. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image. Order your copy today.
Thank you for listening to the Pro Media Network, who provides hours and hours of free edutainment to you and yours. If you are benefiting positively from our content, please donate to help us grow our platform by going to www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. That's www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network, and support the true independent artists.
Check out the Crown They Ass World podcast with three kings covering all the news and issues that affect you and the ones you care about, only on the PRO Media Network.
Hello, New Orleans. You're listening to the Sports Coma, your new #1 podcast on everything Saints, Pelicans, and a lot more. And now, here's your host, Big Q and the guys.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. And we're still talking about this ridiculous, craptastic loss that the Saints had to the Atlanta Falcons this past Thursday. Craptastic. That's the name I got that coined. The craptastic loss to the Atlanta Smelkins.
I'm going to say conspiratorial loss to the Dirty Birds, the home of the gay capital of the world, so you know why they call them the Dirty Birds.
Well, this is the thing I'm looking at too. Like we was talking about the news article from ESPN. Saints coach Payton calls the hiring of former whistleblower unbelievable. The upset Cirillo, who was mad that the team didn't retain him after the 2009 Super Bowl season. In an email, he called the Saints a dirty organization, and said he had proof that assistant head coach Joe Vitt had lied to the league about the existence of the bounty program. NFL eventually suspended Payton, and we all know the particulars behind it, but Paul Tagliabue, of course, threw it out over the top of that garbage commissioner that just got a $200 million extension, of course. A lot of people upset about that. When asked about the appeal hearings and why he was motivated to come forward, Cirillo, he ain't pull no punches. He said, "I was angry." This is quote. "I was angry for being let go from the Saints. I was angry at Joe Vitt, and I wanted to show that I was fired for lying, and I witnessed Joe Vitt lying, and he still had a job," end quote. So that's what Cirillo, this is the guy they hired in the league office, but the NFL says that there's no conflict of interest here. Now this article breaks, then of course it's just everybody's looking at the fact that how the game was lost due to the officiating. I don't think the game was lost because of the officiating. I think the game was lost because of bad decisions by the quarterback and bad play calling situations on behalf of the offense. I have nothing but love for the special teams. Big ups to Morstead, who, despite the fact that he has a thankless task, Morstead has. He had an excellent game punting for the Saints, and many people don't give the punter, big love, but Morstead, Thomas
he's one of the
Morstead,
best
had
punters in the
5
league.
punts for 208 yards, and he pinned them back in their 20 twice in this game. Big ups to him. Big ups to Manti Te'o, who had 10 tackles in this game. Big ups to Craig Robinson, who had 8.
Wait.
Big ups to Ken Crawley.
Tommy Lee some love.
Right.
Too.
Well, I'm working with I'm doing the defensive guys first. But Marcus Williams and the defense, they played great. Cam, all those guys on defense. And, of course, we're going to give Tommy Lee, who did good on the special teams, well. Big ups to him. Big ups to Mike Thomas and the like. So I think so. So, I mean, this is the type of nonsense that the Saints, like Payton said in his post-game presser we just played in the last segment, about they were fighting more than just the elements inside of the game, meaning he's speaking about having a fist fight. You got to fight the officials and the Falcons, despite the fact the defense forced 3 turnovers. Excellent defense all the way around. Despite the injuries to the team, the Saints still was able to make a go of it, and the Falcons barely had the advantage. But like I said, it comes down to Drew Brees having an opportunity to make better decisions with the ball. And the worst case scenario, the Saints kick a field goal in that last drive, that tie and force overtime and go up into overtime. Anything could happen. So better decisions offensively. And before we go into anything else, the injury report, let's listen to Drew Brees, because that's the perfect segue into Drew's commentary on what happened in this game.
What you saw in that play.
Yeah, shouldn't have thrown it. Guy made a nice play, but not worth taking the risk right there, especially when you know you got points. It's not like you have to have a touchdown to win. I mean, to tie or what have you. We could have kicked a field goal, so we had points. Just disappointed in the result there. Just should not have taken that chance.
Drew, on that 4th and 1, there was a discussion on the sideline, you and Coach. What went into that?
We said we came here to win, so we're going for it.
So it came down to your sneak. I mean, that was a.
Yeah.
And did it have to do with injuries mounting, or was there anything? Anything factoring in?
No, I mean, just felt like, hey, we feel like we can get it. If we don't get it, we still have timeouts, and if we kick a field goal right now, we give them a lot of time, to go down, and so let's go win.
How tough is it to lose Kamara that early in the game? I know you're going with the game plan.
Oh, listen, that's always tough. At one point we didn't have any backs. When Mark goes out, and then Mike goes out for a little bit, Ted goes out for a little, so you just kind of had to manage, all that happened on that last drive. It was kind of crazy. But we managed, and guys stepped up and did a great job. Tommy Lewis stepped up and did a great job, caught a touchdown. So, man, guys battled tonight. They really did.
How much do you think that is a product of playing on Thursday night?
It's 100% a product of playing on Thursday night. Do you understand what guys' bodies go through, in a game, and then to have to turn around 4 days later and to play? I mean, look at the injury studies. They're off the charts. So is this smart as it pertains to guys' health and safety? No, absolutely not.
What would you like to see the league do, especially during the off-season, to revisit Thursday night football games?
Well, I could sit here and tell you that no player likes putting themselves at risk on 4 days rest to come and put their bodies through what they put them through, in a game. So you hope that it's addressed, you hope that it's talked about, and you hope that something is done about it.
Is this something that may have to wait until the next CBA?
I'm not sure. Listen, right now we worry about what we can control, which is, you play the games that are on the schedule, you play them when they say they're played, and you go out and you give it your absolute best. But, when you see guys go down and, you lose guys for what you think was unnecessary, just because you put them at a much higher risk.
There go Drew Brees talking about how the fact he don't like Thursday night games. I think that's quite evident, Drew, after watching this game here. The way we see things, I watched the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Los Angeles Rams today, and that was a epic game. Ultimately, the Eagles were able to beat the Rams in Los Angeles. Rams are for real. So are the Eagles. But what I witnessed, the fact that you have this guy, this quarterback, you might have heard of him. His name is Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is quite the quarterback. Second-year player, both him and Goff, the quarterback of the Rams. Wentz in different scenarios that I've seen is similar to Drew Brees. Of course, we know Drew don't have the legs, young legs that Carson Wentz had, but more than a half a dozen times I've seen Carson Wentz help his team out offensively by scrambling out of a crumbling pocket or not spending more than 3 or 4 seconds looking for a wide receiver downfield, looking and doing the check downs, nothing there, then scrambling with his feet to find 2 or 3 yards. To me, that's ideal. Drew Brees does not like to scramble, and there's many times where you can look at the field and see that he has cushions to 10 yards ahead of him when they're dropping everybody into coverage and they have 4 guys rushing and there's an opening up the middle. Drew Brees will not leave that pocket. He will not leave that pocket. And that's the thing that I wish he would change about his game just a little bit, to be able to open up and run, because there were scenarios in the game with the Rams that if he had done that, they would have absolutely won that game. Having the ability to be able to at least be a semi-threat where people have to think about spying you to take a defender away from your wide receivers would severely help you in the passing game as well. That's my thought on that. DC, you heard chunks of this interview.
Drew Brees is 85 years old, bro. Them days is long gone.
Tom Brady scrambled, and Brady's older than he is, so it makes me with that
when
one.
Drew Brees tried to run out the pocket in the Atlanta game, he backed up right into the defender.
Actually, he backed up right. Armstead blocked him, and he went back as opposed to going forward, and it's just amazing. Anyway, Drew Brees, numbers, a lot of people don't realize that Drew Brees is ranked number 4th in the NFL currently in passing yards. He has 3,569 yards. He's 4th behind Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, and Phillip Rivers. He sits comfortably in 4 with Russell Wilson right up under him. So very interesting thing for Drew Brees. And like DC, we was talking off break about the fact that Drew Brees needed to take more responsibility for this loss, because ultimately it was in his hands to pull him out, to at least get him there to tie or ultimately win the game, correct?
Correct, man. He came out and he mentioned it, but I just would like to see more fire and more passion. I don't know what's in his heart, but it just seems to me like he's a little nonchalant about it. And I really think everybody on the team did what they needed to do for us to win that game up until that last play. I mean, just think if we would have ran the ball, tried to run it, at least down there, do a little check down. You get up all the way on the goal line, now you got the pressure on them, man.
Right.
You can keep running it, or you possibly can get a quarterback sneak. You can get the touchdown that you want.
That's my take.
Of forcing it in there.
That's my take.
It wasn't third down. We had 2 timeouts. I just don't understand why you needed to make that throw now. If that was a throw that happened, if we decided we were going for the win and it happened on 4th down, I mean, maybe I understand it a little more. But on 2nd down to throw a pick, like that's the one thing you can't do in that scenario. It's really 2. You don't want to throw a pick like under any circumstances, and you don't want to take a sack second. If I might throw a pick, I'd take the sack rather.
Right.
I don't want to take a sack or throw a pick.
Right.
So, I mean, it's no excuse for that, man. And that's how I felt about the interview. I turned my ears off after it just seemed nonchalant about taking credit for the loss.
You're absolutely right. You cannot make that throw. Absolutely, you cannot make that throw. You cannot do that. He's old enough and experienced enough to know that you can't throw into that zone. They were playing. It was 3 defenders in that area, and then you threw it in front of the defenders.
4.
You didn't throw it.
I counted. It was 4. You got to get the extra one.
See, I wouldn't give him the extra, man, because 3 is enough. But you could afford the way it was supposed to go is you were supposed to throw that ball back to the back of the end zone toward the goalpost and let the bigger tight end make a play on it.
They had a couple of guys behind them.
It's just a bad play, and you cannot make that throw. This is a little information here. DC absolutely right. 9 first downs off of penalties for Atlanta, 0 for the Saints. 0 penalties that led to a first down for the Saints. Absolutely amazing. The stats don't lie in that scenario. We're about to go into our final break. When we come, second to final break. When we come back, we're going to hit you with the injury report. We're going to preview the Jets matchup with the Saints that's coming up here in the Superdome. The Saints have 2 games, back-to-back games in the Superdome, starting with the Jets and then a revenge game against the Atlanta Falcons in the Dome as well. So we'll preview the Jets game on the other side of the break, give you an injury report, among other news. So stick with us. You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is the Sports Coma with Big Q. The guy's intense, funny, and they always keep it real.
Check out the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Clear, clean, great-tasting filtered water. We're all thirsty for it. But in the U.S. alone, an estimated 2.5 million plastic bottles are added to the environment each year in search of the perfect drink of water. There has to be a better solution, and there is. Crystal Quest, a leader in the manufacturing of water filtration technology, has been providing clean, drinkable water for 20 years. Crystal Quest has been recognized by such leaders as Consumers Digest, Dr. Oz, and Colin Ingram's The Water Drinking Book, offering our customers the cleanest and most environmental-friendly drinking water at a rating of high purity. With Crystal Quest's water filtration technology, you can rest assured that your water will be crystal clear. Contact our network of authorized distributors and join our thousands of satisfied customers.
Just log into theposhlifestyle.com. Once again, that is theposhlifestyle.com.
Get all the latest news and updates from your New Orleans Pelicans at the Pelicans Argue, the new and official Pelicans Daily Journal, covering everything Pelicans. Attention, everyone. Get breakdown on games, free agent signings and potential moves, unbiased opinions and straight up facts with statistical analysis from G Balance. Go to www.thesportsdaily.com/Pelicans-I-View.
Follow the Sports Coma on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Best funny sports podcast in the country.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Recapping Atlanta Falcons 20-17 win over the New Orleans Saints. And we're about to peruse into our next segment of the show. We're going to preview this Jets versus the Saints game because, of course, we done digested this ridiculous garbage time loss to the Atlanta Falcons, of which is one of those games, like we said in previous broadcasts, that the Saints should have won. I wholeheartedly think that the Saints should have beat the the Los Angeles Rams, that is. They lost to them 26-20. In the last four games, the Saints are 2-2. That's a far cry from the previous 8 where they were 8-0, or the last 10 where they played Surrey. But the last 4 games have been up and down for New Orleans. That's not a very encouraging trend with 3 weeks left to go in the season. Not encouraging. 2-2. But better than, of course, the alternative, which would be one less loss than that. But going forward, let's put the cap on this Atlanta Falcon Saints matchup, DC. In this case, we can go over the referees. We uncovered the referees. We uncovered the coach. We uncovered the quarterback. We uncovered pretty much everything. Going away and taken away from this game. Of course, there's going to be another one that's going to happen in 2 weeks from now on the 24th, right before Christmas. And boy, what a gift for the people of New Orleans and Atlanta when they give us that pre-Christmas gift of the Saints and the Falcons in the Superdome at 12 o'clock. Oh, very interesting, very interesting. But put the cap on this game quickly before we move forward with our next one.
With the Jets, are we speaking on?
No,
Atlanta?
we're talking about the Falcons. We'll cap the Falcons and then move on to the
Jets. Okay. Well, the last thing I would have to say about this, man, is
of course, yeah,
his Alvin Kamara, man. I'm hoping he can come back from the concussion protocol, which they say was in, he didn't appear to be dazed or anything to me. So I'm hoping he'll be together and ready for that next game against the Jets in Atlanta. And that, to me, set the tone for the night. That play we haven't talked about a lot. It was Deion Jones, I believe, that hit him.
Yeah.
And it was a helmet-to-helmet play, man. And that was a crucial point in the game because we were marching down the field and we were going to score a touchdown. And that happened around the maybe 20-yard line, 18-yard line or something like that. It was our 15-yard penalty. We probably would have been able to march on in and get a touchdown right there, which would have changed the complexion of the game also, man. So we had a lot of plays like that. Like I said, we had a return by Tommy Lee Lewis that I think was called back, but it was a tit-for-tat holding or something they called it back for. You know, we can go on and on, man. We had a third down with Sheldon Rankins where the guy pushed him into Matt Ryan, and they called roughing the passer for that. Like, we couldn't get a break.
Right. So, that's interesting because the way I seen it is the same way that we couldn't get a break because they were not going to allow you to have a break. You would have had to have taken your breaks, and the Saints did not take advantage of the opportunities that they had, enough of them to pull out the contest. So let's go into the injury report here before we preview the Jets and the Saints. What's the injury report here, DC?
Do I gotta say them all?
Yes, please.
We had a long list of injuries in this game, but all of them aren't, I guess, bad. You know, three of those guys that were injured in the game came back. So you had Ted Ginn, who got injured in the game on a real vicious hit. He held on to the ball, though, so give him some credit for that. He came back out there, and he did his thing, man. Shout out to Ted Ginn for being a tough warrior. Keep fighting. Michael Thomas was another one. He got poked in the eye by Desmond Trufant, so he had an injury in that game. He was able to come back in. And Mark Ingram also had a back injury, and he got cheap shotted in the back at the end of a play, and he was able to come back in. Then we had some other people that weren't so lucky. Salito Calamente, I'm not sure what he went down with. I can't find the...
He had a concussion.
Oh, it was a concussion for Salito. Okay. I didn't know that as far as him. But you also had Alvin Kamara, who also had a concussion. Trey Hendrickson, who had an ankle injury. Then you had Kenny Vaccaro and AJ Klein, both with groin injuries. And none of those players returned, man. That's a lot to overcome in one game.
Yes. A lot of people. Let's go into our next segment. Let's preview this matchup. The Jets coming in here. They're 5-7, 1-4 on the road, coming into the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, where the Saints are 5-1. They feel comfortable, and the Saints have reclaimed dome field advantage for at least this year. Josh McCown, brother of Luke McCown, who was a long-term backup for the Saints for many years behind Drew Brees, is the quarterback of the Jets. He comes in with 2,800 yards, 2,880 yards. He has 18 touchdowns and 8 interceptions on the season. Top rusher for the Jets is Bilal Powell, 120 carries for 502 yards and 3 touchdowns. And top receiver is Ronnie Anderson, 49 catches, 821 yards, 7 touchdowns for the Jets. The Jets average 22 points a game, but allow 24 points a game. So we can see why you guys are 5-7. The Saints, on the other half, average 28.5 and give up 20 points a game. The Saints sit comfortably at 9-4. They sit on top of the NFC South, with Carolina tied with them, but of course the Saints swept Carolina. Atlanta is 8-5. Tampa in the cell at 4-9. The Jets are in last place in the AFC East standings at 5-8, sitting at the bottom of the totem pole. And also total yards, the Jets allow 349 yards total offensive yards. That's all together 243 through the air, 107 on the ground. And the Saints 410, 275 through the air, 135 and a half on the ground for the offenses. Yards allowed by the defenses, the Jets give up 365 yards a game versus the Saints 349 yards a game. The Jets secondary allow 245 yards through the air and allow you to rush for 120 yards a game. The Saints passing only allow you 235 yards through the air through the secondary and allow you to rush 114 yards a game against them. And looking at the last 5 contests, the Jets come into the Saints winning 2 of the last 5 contests. They were able to beat the Jets last week, 38 this week actually, 38-31. They beat Kansas City, and of course the Saints come out with that hideous loss to Atlanta, 20-17. Of course the Saints are 2-2 in the last 4 games, not looking good. But a lot of people picked the Saints to beat the Jets convincingly. This is the perfect trap game because people upset. The Saints team is upset about the loss to Atlanta. This is the perfect trap game that if you were weak-minded and non-focused, you could look past the Jets, look at Atlanta, and the Jets could surprise you here. That's the only way I see the Saints possibly losing this game. But I think they're a different team. They'll stay focused and win this game. DC, what is your call on this game?
There's no way by any ideas of your imagination that this is a trap game. Only because normally it would be, but just what they endured last week, I think something like that will force a team to unite. I mean, they were already united and gelled together.
So no lack of focus in this game, only focusing harder.
More focus. Okay. I mean, when you lose a game the way they lost that game against Atlanta, knowing that they should have won, it makes you want to go out that next game and really prove yourself. So I think we get a blowout. I mean, this might be like a Bills type game. Other than, I mean, we got to see the injury report again on Wednesday. And today, the Jets actually lost today, and they lost their quarterback that's been making things happen for them. And they didn't put up no points. All those receivers that were catching stuff, it looked horrible. So the Jets are a different team right now. I don't know how bad McCown's wrist is, but if he's going to miss this game, that makes it even more so worse on the Jets. They're not a defensive juggernaut. Those 5 games we played against them, a lot of them came against Rex Ryan when they were a very prominent defensive team, and we did have problems with them. But once Rex Ryan left, I mean, we haven't had any problems with the Jets. So we're going to go in there. It's going to be in the Dome. The Dome going to be rocking. I just feel like Atlanta, in so many ways, they cheated us out of that game. But in so many ways, they kind of did us a favor. Because we got our second wake-up call in this last 4 weeks. And it was games where we could have won. So I think that type of loss, if they would have lost it last second on their own without the assistance of the referees and injuries and all of that type of stuff, I think maybe you're right, could potentially be a trap game. But just the way they lost, man, those guys, they want 2 things. They all want to get healthy, and they can't wait to get back out there and play football.
Okay,
I guarantee.
Give me a prediction on this game, a score. What the Saints win?
38-9. Jets can't get in the end zone. They just kick field goals.
38-9, big win. That's DC calling it out.
Hey, but I got a stipulation though. I don't know if McCown is playing. If McCown is playing, that score gonna be different.
All right. Well, they're saying McCown is questionable, but I think he'll play.
Well, if McCown will play, I'll say the Saints put up let's say 33 points, and the Jets put up 23.
Okay, 33-23. This is the end of our show. You heard it. I think the Saints going to win the game, too. I don't think about such a large margin. I'd say probably somewhere in the high 20s, like 28 to maybe 20 or 21, something like that. But Thank you for listening to the
You don't,
Sports Coma
you
podcast
don't think
today.
they would blow him out?
No, if McClown is there, I think the Saints could beat him badly, but we'll see. But this is the end of the podcast. Thank y'all for listening to the Sports Coma. Please go to our Patreon page and donate. And time's up, buddy. And go to our Patreon page, www.patreon.com/the Media Network, and donate or support our sponsors at theposhlifestyle.com. Thank you for listening. Peace.
You're listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment. You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
At the Posh Lifestyle, I go there for all my health needs. They offer great deals on organics, water filters, healing magnetics, healing crystals, clothing, books, DVDs, vitamins, and a lot more. They even have free shipping when you spend over $100 on most products. With secure online ordering, fast service, and great products, I save some money, and I'm improving my health doing it. It's a win-win. So do what I did. Go to shop.theposhlifestyle.com. That's shop.theposhlifestyle.com. That's shop.theposhlifestyle.com. So upgrade your lifestyle with The Posh Lifestyle and love what you do.